tribe, city, and region could have its own god or idol, which was in a way a patron of that particular community.
This is so interesting! Like, actually, this is actually one of the most interesting things that I've watched so far. Look, man, suggestion to me, for me, by me! Guys, check out what I'm wearing. If you haven't already, go check it out, link in the description. I'm telling you, absolutely worth it. This thing is so great. It's very comfy, very cozy. It's made specifically for winter season, Christmas. Let's continue. Check it out in the description, man.
It's mostly identified with Islam, and for good reason. Islam was a catalyst of the biggest expansion of the Arabic people in history. It paved the way for the establishment of arguably the most powerful empire of its time, the Islamic Caliphate, which at its zenith ranged from Spain and North Africa in the west to Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent in the east. The Caliphate managed to be one of the most dominant political, military, scientific, and cultural centers of the world for several centuries, while the religion of Islam remains one of the most important political and societal forces globally. But what was there before Islam? How did Arab people live, rule themselves? What did they believe in? Welcome to our video on Arabia before Islam.
This is gonna be extremely interesting. Ooh, sponsor. I'm not, you know, low-key, I should try Manscaped, but like
man maintenance for the modern.
I'm like too broke for Manscaped right now. But if you go buy this in the description, you help me. So
pre-Islamic Arabia was mostly a nomadic society, inhabited by constantly moving tribal units. These Bedouin tribes, some of which maintain their traditional nomadic lifestyle to this day, had been the most significant political unit of the Arabian Peninsula, with constantly shifting alliances, never-ending warfare, and rare occurrences of organized and centralized statehood.
This is the first time that I have ever seen a map of the Arabian Peninsula. Every single thing I've ever seen from history, I've never seen a map of the Arabian Peninsula. I always wondered to myself, what did the Arabian Peninsula actually look like before it was unified? You know, like, this is the first time. This is quite insightful.
On kin-related groups and families, and would roam through the deserts with their livestock, mainly comprising of sheep, goats, and camels, living in tents with their immediate family members. The tribal leaders enforced unwritten rules of the Bedouin society in the tribe. Bedouin tribes were patriarchal, as inheritance passed to male offspring, and women could not inherit property and were virtually rightless, as they could be seized in tribal conflicts as a spoil of war, and the Bedouin laws allowed them to marry their captives.
What in the world? Now, anybody who knows me in real life, if you know me in real life, a lot of people in real life, they like to call me sexist because of the things that I say about women. But like, yeah, I'm not sexist. And I say this because you might hear me. I choose not to talk about this stuff on this channel. Although I low-key have another channel that I just created where I talk about that stuff on there. I just haven't bothered showing it, to be honest. This is the first time we're talking about it here. I haven't really bothered telling people here about it. And I'm not going to link it either, even if you want it. But like, yeah, no, no, this is just no. I believe that women are they can be as capable as men. They have the potential to be as capable as men, except when it comes to like physical stuff. That's about it, you know. Like, I don't really think women should be held back at all. But boy, they can be annoying, really annoying. That's when, yeah, I'll say the stuff that I say, like how annoying they are. When people hear that, they say, "Oh my God, he's sexist." Like, no. I literally have a tribute on my channel to the Queen. Like, I don't show it here, but like, anybody who knows me in real life knows how extremely patriotic I am for the Queen. Okay, I was literally shedding tears when she died. I'm not embarrassed to admit that at all. I do not feel any shame for that at all. Anyway, let's continue.
The number of women a man could marry was not fixed. When a man died, his son inherited all his wives, except his own mother. Women in tribal Arabia had little say in their marriages, as they would often be arranged between a man and his future wife's family, and the family would receive property like camels or horses in exchange for the bride. There were also cases of killing female infants, as the Muslim holy book, the Quran, mentions that the Arabs of the period of ignorance, called Jahiliyyah, would bury their daughters alive.
Whoa!
Men often considered women an economic burden and a
in the
potential source of embarrassment, as the capture of women of the tribe by hostile tribes was considered humiliating in the conservative Bedouin society. Under the circumstances of lack of centralized states, with rare exceptions, there were no written laws, courts, or law enforcement of any kind to protect the population. Thus, the principal purpose of a Bedouin tribe was to protect its members. Vengeance was sought for the killing of a tribe member by another tribe, which led to virtually constant warfare and conflict. Protecting your tribe and avenging your kin was a high honor. Harsh living conditions of the Arabian Peninsula further enhanced the tribal system and sense of identity within a tribe, as often their protection and economic cooperation was the difference between death and survival.
Wow. You know what I find interesting is how the Arabs, I mean, everybody started off as tribes, right? But, and I say this a lot every time I point out how, Germanic people, like Germans started off as, you know, obviously Germanic tribes. All these people like to say, oh no, we're not the same, we're not the same, we're not the same, we're not the same. But like, I literally got in an argument in a comment with somebody about this like ages ago, where he looked at me, he was like, no, English people aren't Germans because they just simply identify themselves with their tribe name. I'm like, okay, but they were still a part of the same people. They literally spoke the same language too. Like, I'm saying this because I just find it funny how that interesting double standard like exists, and like nobody's talking about it. Like nobody's talking about it. Like I guess when it's white, Western white people that are you know, I guess they get to be their own unique thing, but anyone else, oh, they're just lumped into a group. Hell no. That's why I always, whenever I get the chance, I always point that out. And I have these same people in my comments who like to call me African, even though I'm not even African, I'm mixed. So I'm like, okay, you want to play that game, I'm going to play that game too. If I'm African, then you're German. Plain and simple. Plain and straight. And I'm glad that I'm watching this because, I mean, again, I could literally use this as an example. The Arabs were in tribes, but they were still Arab before they united. The only difference between that is the Germanic people is just never united. Okay, we got freaking Scandinavian people talking about my Viking. Okay, cool. Pirates. German pirates. German pirates. I so stupid, dude. I'm like, maybe I'm being petty. Nah, I'm not being petty. Nah, I need to. This deserves awareness because this is ridiculous, dude. Like, so freaking ridiculous, bruh. Like, nah. I'm genuinely gonna use this as an example whenever I argue with people about this too. Every time I call out the fact that Germanic peoples are basically the same. Well, not even basically, they are the same. Before they expanded, they just simply never united into one country. But politically, they're different, obviously, of course. But they're still the same people descending from basically the same ancestors, etc., etc. Let's continue.
Maxime Redonçon states that the free Arabs were bound by no written code of law, and no state existed to enforce its statutes with the backing of a police force. The only protection for a man's life was the certainty established by custom that it would be dearly bought. Blood for blood and a life for a life. The vendetta, tha'ar in Arabic, is one of the pillars of Bedouin society. Austrian historian Gustav E. von Grunebaum reiterated this and described the state of affairs in Arabia in the century before the rise of Islam as tribal guerrilla fighting, all against all. Tribes would fight against each other, attack and plunder caravans and sedentary settlements, as lawlessness was the law of the land in most of Arabia. Caravans and sedentary settlements would pay tribute to the raiding Bedouin tribes to avoid their attacks. While most of the tribes in Arabia went on with their nomadic lifestyle, some managed to gain influence over certain territories and switched to a sedentary life. Mecca was practically ruled by the skilled merchants of the Quraysh tribe that took control of the city sometime in the 5th century, while Yathrib, which was later named Medina, was dominated by the Arab tribes of Aus and Khazraj, and the Jewish tribes Natir, Kenuka, and Qurayza.
Oh, so Jews were all the way in Arabia. Oh, wow! I did not know that. Wow, okay, learning something new here. That's very interesting.
While the nomadic Bedouins viewed sedentary life with contempt and thought of the town dwellers as a nation of shopkeepers, the emergence of cities like Mecca was the primary cause of the dawn of the common Arab identity in the pre-Islamic period. The most important cities of the Arabian Peninsula, Mecca and Yathrib, were situated in Hijaz, a region with sufficient water supply, which made it a logical choice for a sedentary lifestyle in the otherwise punishing climate and terrain of Arabia. Mecca was an important trade center in the region, a place through which caravans would flow, as well as the location of the Kaaba, a sacred place in Islam, which was also sacred in polytheistic Arabia, where the statues of idols and gods of different Arabic tribes were placed. The Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, who lived between 60 and 30 BC, wrote about the isolated region of Arabia in his work Bibliotheca Historica, describing Kaaba as a very holy temple, which was exceedingly revered.
That's interesting. Bibliotheca Historica. That sounds like the word library. Well, depending on the language that you speak. I know library is biblioteca in both German and Russian. I'm not sure about other languages. Still though, that's interesting.
Revered by all Arabians. For example, the chief deity of the Quraysh tribe and Mecca was Hubal. The usual trading routes through the Red Sea and the Tigris and Euphrates were disrupted by piracy and the Roman-Persian conflict, and caravans and traders switched to the trade route going through Mecca. Goods from beyond the Red Sea and of the local Bedouin tribes would be brought to Mecca, from where the camel caravans would transport them to the Levant. Meccans signed treaties with the Byzantine Empire and Bedouin tribes for safe passage of their trading caravans. As the home of the Kaaba, Mecca also carried a religious significance for the polytheistic Arabs, as once a year, Arabs from all over Arabia would make a pilgrimage to Kaaba and drink from the sacred Zamzam well. At this time of the year, conflict would stop, a truce would be declared, disputes and debts would be resolved, and trade happened between different tribes. Thus, Mecca became the center of a loose confederation of tribes around this city, as guests were obliged to follow the rules in Mecca. The trading potential of Mecca and its religious significance for the Arabs turned it into a factor bringing Arabs together and forming their national identity. Another important city of Arabia was Yathrib, Medina. It was an agricultural center, also situated in a fertile region of Hijaz, which allowed the city to become an important transit point for trade caravans.
I'm not gonna lie, I always thought Arabia was just a desert wasteland. Like, I knew that there were tribes there, I just didn't realize that there were this much tribes there. I thought there was just few scattered tribes there, quite frankly speaking.
Traveling along the Red Sea. Initially, Yathrib was dominated by Jewish tribes, But gradually, several Arabic tribes moved to Yathrib and gained political and economic influence in the city too.
What?
While Arabs were mainly engaged.
I just thought that the Jews. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I want to say that word. I just thought that the Jews were just around should I say that? Should I say that word? Philistine. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that word. I thought the Jews were around the Philistine area. You know what I mean when I say Philistine. I don't want to say that word. I want to keep my video demonetized. YouTube will literally look at the transcript of a video and they will literally decide whether to monetize it or not based on that transcript. Bruh, I've had that happen like I actually had it happen like 2 days ago with one of my recent videos where they literally like looked at my transcript, like the AI, and they saw the word from the thing that happened to the Jews. I don't even know if I want to say during the Second World War, the thing where 6 million of the Hebrew, I'm gonna say Hebrew, yeah, YouTube doesn't censor Hebrew, where 6 million Hebrews were unalived in World War II, and they literally literally like almost demonetized my video, but I had to get someone to review. That's why I'm so cautious with what I say on my channel, and like they can literally shadow ban your channel. I've had that happen to me. This is why I'm like super cautious with what I say. Even that video that I posted yesterday, I was like, should I post this? Okay, whatever, I'm gonna post it. But that's interesting. I didn't know the Hebrews were all the way in the Arabian Peninsula. I just thought that they were around the Jerusalem area, after the kingdom of the Hebrew kingdom. I thought that was just it. Like, they were just gone. Like, they scattered to like Europe, basically, and Asia, I guess. I didn't know they were in the Arabian Peninsula.
In agriculture, Jews would also be active as businessmen.
Whoa, you said bad word.
Was inevitably going to lead to the rise of commerce too.
Oh my gosh, you said
the rise of commerce was inevitably going to lead to usury, a practice which was used by both the Arabs and Jews. This practice would be later prohibited by Islam. We already saw that even in pre-Islamic Arabia, religion played an important role in shaping the common Arab identity. What religion did the Arabs practice before the rise of Islam?
let me hear.
In pre-Islamic Arabia was a mix of polytheism, Christianity, Judaism, and Iranian religions. Arab polytheism or paganism was the most popular belief system. Each tribe, city, and region could have its own god or idol, which was in a way a patron of that particular community.
This is so interesting! Like, actually, this is actually one of the most interesting things that I've watched so far.
Arabs also believed in supernatural beings like jinns.
What in the world?
Gods and goddesses would be placed in Kaaba, and some scholars argue that Allah,
wait.
the day,
like in the Kaaba that's in modern day Saudi Arabia today, like that Kaaba,
of Islam and other Abrahamic religions, also had a statue in Kaaba.
Wait.
There are hadiths.
Hold on, did I hear that correctly? Abrahamic religions also.
Deity of Islam and other gods and goddesses would be placed in Kaaba, and some scholars argue that Allah, the deity of Islam and other Abrahamic religions, also had a statue in Kaaba.
I know I'm a Christian, but how can you have a statue of God? Right? Allah, it translates to God. How can you have a statue of God? We don't know what God looks like. The closest thing that we'll ever know to what God looks like is what we look like, because we were created in the image of God, but still that could be interpreted in a lot of ways. So like how could you make a statue of God? What? You can't know what God looks like, because if you do, you'll literally get destroyed. That's why God never shows himself. So how could you make a statue? That makes absolutely zero sense. I actually had a fun little theory that I'm going to say here that I was talking to a friend too, where I was telling him that I believe that God is like extremely gargantuan. And I have to say gargantuan because big wouldn't really describe what I'm about to say, because the universe is also like gargantuan as well. And it's like I was telling him, like, you see how when you play a video game and you're playing like a sandbox RPG map video game or something like that, and you just have like the whole entire map, or I don't know, if you're playing a game like Stellaris where you just have like the entire galaxy, and to you it's super duper small, but to them inside of there it's absolutely massive. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's how God views us. I'm like, I don't think the universe is but gargantuan. I just think we're small, kind of like our cells are super small in our hands. Like, you can't see the cells, but to them, I mean, the cells is like, I mean, we're massive. Same thing with ants, right? To us, ants are small, but we're just big compared to them. Obviously, I think it's the same way. Like the universe, and I think because the Bible does say that when the new heaven, new earth is, made, there won't be a need for a sun. There won't be a need for a star, because God is enough to light up everything, basically. And I thought about that. I was like, stars are absolutely massive, right? And if stars are absolutely massive, which again is necessary to give off light. I mean, if the sun was super small, like, we wouldn't get enough light here on Earth, obviously. And I was like, if you get too close to the sun, you'll be destroyed, right? And I was thinking, I mean, even if you look at the sun, your eyes will you'll be blind if you look at the sun long enough. But it's just that when you try to look at the sun, unless it's an eclipse, obviously, you'll be forced to look away because it'll hurt your eye. Like, you obviously, everybody knows that. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, the universe is gargantuan. The sun to us is big, and it gives us a bunch of light to us and all the other planets in the solar system, right? And the sun is massive to us anyways. So I'm like, I think that's why we can't see God. I think God might just have, like, kind of like, I don't know, obviously I'm just theorizing for fun here, okay, just hear me out. I just think God might just have like some type of properties, maybe like the sun, where if you just get too close, you just get destroyed, similar to how if you get too close to the sun, you'll be destroyed, instantly vaporized, right? And it makes sense when you think about it, right? Because the sun is absolutely massive, and it needs to be massive to give off light. And the Bible says that God is going to be the one giving off light when the new heaven and new earth is around. So I'm like, maybe that's why we can't see God. I don't know. It's a fun little theory that I just thought of in my head. Unfortunately, I am nothing but a creation. So it is what it is.
There are hadiths, the authenticity of which is disputed, claiming that Kaaba also had an image of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus, with Abraham looking over them. Overall,
according to my brother, and this is my brother, the same one who I said we were supposed to go and discuss a bunch of comments on Islam for my comments. He said that there is no image of Jesus. He told me that according to the Bible, there is no image of Jesus. Now, I don't know how true that is. I'm like, but didn't the Romans have not like an art piece, but like a kind of a picture thing of Jesus? And he was like, yeah, no, like we don't even know what Jesus looked like. I'm not sure how true that is. If that's not true, do correct that. I wouldn't even say correct me, because I always thought we did have an image of Jesus. Because back then people had like artwork and whatnot. But I'm like, but he's looked at me. He said, "No, we don't have an image of Jesus." I'm like, what?
it is estimated that Kaaba contained up to 360 such statues and images. Trading and political relations with the Byzantine Empire, Ethiopia, Persia, and other neighboring forces had a role in shaping the religious landscape of Arabia too. As early as the 1st century AD, Arab traders brought Christianity to Arabia. Others were evangelized by Paul's ministry in Arabia and by St. Thomas, followed by a strong influence from the Byzantine Empire. For example, the Ghassanids, a vassal kingdom of Rome, converted to Christianity. In the south of the country, a strong Christian community emerged in Najran as a result of the influence of the Ethiopian Christian kingdom of Aksum. Nestorian Christianity was strong in parts of the country, but the most popular denomination was monophysitism. Judaism was also a significant part of the religious landscape of Arabia. As a result of Roman persecution, the migration of Jewish people to Arabia started as early as the 1st century AD. Many Jews found homes in Hijaz and towns like Yathrib, Khaybar, Fadak, and al-Qura.
Now that makes sense.
Many Arabs also converted to Judaism, as often it was a condition of settling in Jewish-dominated towns of Hijaz. The Yemeni Himyar...
You know, reminds me of something that I saw. I saw a lot of Arab people who are Muslim, and a lot of them were like, oh, I'm just Muslim because, like, I just grew up that way, or I'm just Muslim because I just want to fit in. I'm like, what? Like, you can't have your own independent thought process and decide what you want to be? Like, what? And that's crazy how, I don't know, that bandwagon works. I'm talking so much, man.
Himyarite kingdom converted to Judaism in the 4th century.
That's the whole part of a reaction video.
A tribe in Central Arabia, who were the Himyarites' vassals, were also converted by the 5th century. Sources also inform about a monotheistic religion centered around the worship of a single god of the Abrahamic religions, but apparently it was not affiliated with Christianity or Judaism and was probably centered around the prophethood of Abraham. Followers of this religion were called Hafini people, and they rejected the idolatry and paganism of the majority of Arabs, sharing some of the features of other Abrahamic religions.
Interesting!
Pork. The scope of expansion of the Hafini people is unclear, but according to some Islamic sources, the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, and some of his future companions belonged to this religion. Arabia also had a small minority following Iran-based religions like Zoroastrianism, Mazdekism,
yeah, I want to hear this.
Spreading under Persian influence.
I said it in my video, one of my Islamic reaction videos, that I do think that I think that religions who do worship a god or something like that are all connected to one another. So definitely would love to hear what these other religions are, to see potentially if my hypothesis, because that was just a hypothesis. Okay, a hypothesis obviously is an educated yes. Okay, so I would love to hear what these other religions are like, to add on to my hypothesis, see if it gives you more evidence or not.
Earlier we mentioned how in the pre-Islamic period, Arab statehood was relatively rare, as Arabia constantly moved from tribal anarchy to loose state organizations and back again. But there have been a number of notable states in Arabia in the pre-Islamic period mentioned in Greek, Roman, Mesopotamian and Persian sources, and oral Arab traditions later recorded by Islamic scholars. According to the Arab classical writers, Arabs divided themselves into the Yemenites, the South Arabs descended from Qatan, and the North Arabs descended from Adnan. It is interesting that these two groups had certain distinctions, and the existence of statehood and political systems were among them. South Arabia, Yemen, had more established states, and all of them were ruled as monarchies. In the north, loose tribal confederations or de facto city-states like Mecca were a more prevalent form of statehood. Such states were ruled as oligarchies and aristocracies. The south was considered more advanced, as it was the key route of trade in Arabia, prior to the emergence of Mecca as an alternative, and had a higher degree of contact with outsiders such as Ethiopians.
Now, Christianity not started in Ethiopia, but Christianity started in East Africa way before it came to Europe, and I always knew that. But my question would always be, How did they even get all the way to East Africa? How did it bypass all of this here? How did they get all the way to freaking East Africa, huh? I guess, well, they're pretty close. Yeah, they're pretty close. Yeah, they're pretty close. I guess I can see how that could happen, yeah.
From the 4th century onwards, a reverse process started, as many southern tribes migrated to the north and underwent northern influence. The South Arabian script vanished, and North Arabian proliferated in Arabia. The Thamud tribe, or tribal union, was one of the first recorded states in Arabia, which was a prominent force in northwestern Arabia according to the Assyrian sources related to the 8th century BC, and were later used as auxiliary forces by the Roman Empire according to the Roman sources. In the 3rd century BC, the Greek scholar Eratosthenes mentioned Minoans, Sabaeans, Katabanians, and Hadramites as the main people inhabiting the Arabian Peninsula. Historians mention the independent Sabaean kingdom situated in present-day Yemen, which was later conquered by the Himyarite kingdom around 280 AD. The Himyarite kingdom was one of the most prominent pre-Islamic states of the Arabian Peninsula. It was ruled by a monarch, but in practice, the power of the state was shared with regional governors, which had a high degree of autonomy, a system akin to medieval-era European kingdoms. By the early 4th century AD, the Himyarite kingdom ruled over southern Arabia and expanded north to Najran. Originally polytheistic Himyarites became monotheistic sometime in the 4th century with a belief in the Abrahamic God. At the end of the 5th century, the Himyarite king Abu Kariba adopted Judaism as his faith. His son and successor, Yusuf Dunuas, was even more zealous, as he started persecuting Christians living in the kingdom.
Oh, what in the world?
This proved to be the undoing of the Himyarite dynasty, as Dunuas was either killed or committed suicide after being defeated by the Christian coalition of the Ethiopian kingdom of Aksum, the Byzantine Empire, and South Arabian Christians in 524.
It is absolutely mind-boggling to me, just like how, like, yo, in my mind, I'm not gonna lie to you, because I just read the Bible a lot. Especially, I heard the Bible a lot growing up as a kid. I know the Bible does mention Ethiopia, but I just always thought the Bible was just around Egypt and around Jerusalem area, okay, and the Roman Empire. I really am learning a lot here, okay. Like this is just wow. I didn't know that all this is going on. This is cool. This is quite cool. Very insightful.
Christian Ethiopians then took control of South Arabia, built a church in Sana in an attempt to attract pilgrims, and hence trade to Sana in place of Mecca. This caused a conflict between Abraha, the Ethiopian viceroy in Yemen, and Mecca, mentioned in the Quran. Apparently, Abraha used war elephants against Mecca, but was unsuccessful and had to turn back.
Wow. He used elephants and he lost? Wow.
The 7th century was notable for the power struggle between Ethiopians and Sassanids for control over the remainder of the Himyarite kingdom, in which the Persian Empire succeeded.
Wait, what? How Persian is all the way there?
State organization in Arabia was the Kinda Kingdom, the first state in Central Arabia recorded by history, which came to existence after the Kinda tribe managed to unite all tribes in Najd around the late 5th century. The Kinda kingdom attempted a number of successful raids on Byzantine territories in North Arabia, but similar endeavors against the Sassanid Empire failed, when in 529 the Lakhmid vassals of the Persians defeated and killed the Kindan king Alharit bin Amr, which caused the decline of this state. The aforementioned Lakhmid kingdom was established in East Arabia by the Banu Lakham tribe around the 3rd to 4th centuries. Initially, independent Lakhmids were threatening the coastal cities of the Sassanid Empire, and in 325 the Sassanid Emperor Shapur II began a campaign against them. Soon the Lakhmid capital Hira was taken under control of the Sassanids. Since then, the Lakhmid kingdom became vassals of the Sassanid Empire until it was annexed by them in the early 7th century. The Ghassanid kingdom had a similar fate. Sometime in the 3rd century AD, part of the Alads tribe migrated from Yemen to the Levant and established the Ghassanid kingdom as a vassal of the Eastern Roman Empire, with a capital at Jabiyah in the Golan Heights. The Ghassanid kingdom ceased its existence in the period of early Islamic expansion. But none of these kingdoms were powerful and centralized enough to unite Arabs in one state and protect the realm from foreign attack. Most of Arabia was governed by unwritten rules of Bedouin society, causing warfare and despair amidst already harsh living conditions. The pre-Islamic Arabs might have shared similar language and traditions, but they were divided by tribal identities, blood revenge, and religions. But very soon, Arabia and beyond would be transformed by a momentous process of the emergence of Islam and the creation of a unified Arabic state.
Of course!
More videos on ancient civilizations are on the way. So
I like the Umayyad Caliphate, to be honest. It's probably one of my favorite empires. Because it's like, what it accomplished is just quite impressive. I mean, how could you not
make sure you are subscribed and press the bell button to see the next video in the series.
And you do the same thing. If you made it all the way this far into my reaction, man, make sure you subscribe. This video was a suggestion to me. If you have any suggestions you want me to do, go and comment down below. Man, go and also check this out in the comments as well. I'm telling you, 100% worth it. I'm not BSing you guys. I wouldn't be wearing this all the time if I was BSing you. Okay, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Go check it out. Link is gonna be in the comments and description down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe one more time. Check out my other videos on my channel, my other Islamic reactions, man. Thank you for watching and goodbye.